Okay, let's begin. It's 2 minutes past the hour, so I think that's enough plus or minus time. So welcome, good morning. My name is Andreas. For those of you who do not know me, although I know you can see my name on the Zoom. So we'll begin this morning. Oh, before we begin, actually, I would like to say that we are recording this, but the recording is only recording me, not you. So not to worry about your privacy. Confidentiality is respected. And afterwards, we'll record the Q&C also, but later I will edit that out. So the only thing that we will be sending to people who registered but are not able to come here, we will post that recording to those people. And if it's a good talk, we will post it on YouTube also, but it's only me that is going to be appearing. So you can relax about your confidentiality. So we'd like to begin with a little meditation. And after the meditation, I will talk about our subject matter of the day, of this morning. Then I will give you an exercise so that you can actually apply what we will be talking about to your own personal situation, see how it applies to you. And then after the exercise, we'll take a little break so you can stretch, go to the bathroom, whatever you need to do. And then we'll come back for comments and questions. So that's the outline of our program this morning. So to begin with the meditation, I would invite you to just meditate the way you usually do if you have a meditation practice. If you don't, then simply you can close your eyes, keep your back relatively straight, but not tense, just relaxed but straight. And then just pay attention to your breath in your belly. As you breathe deeply into your belly, there is a movement of the belly. Maybe it goes up and down, something like that. It expands and then comes back down. So pay attention to that movement in the belly as the breath moves the belly. And stay with it for as long as you can. And at some point, most likely your mind will wander away. And then when you become aware of that, just come back to your belly and the breath. Very simple. And it doesn't matter how many times your mind wanders, the back and forth actually is a good exercise. It's like when you lift weights, you don't just hold them, you move your muscles. And so here, the movement back and forth is like exercising the muscle of your attention. And then I will ring the bell to end the meditation. Okay. Hey. So let's see. Welcome to all of you again. Those of you who just came in during the meditation. So I'll just repeat a couple of things. One is that we are recording this, but only the talk and only myself will appear on the recording. So your confidentiality is respected. And so we'll engage in the talk now. And then after the talk, I will give you an exercise so that you can actually explore this in a personal way, see how this, what I will talk about, applies to you. And then we'll come back after that for Q&C, for questions and comments after a short break. So that is the program. And I would request if you can turn your videos on so I can see you instead of black boxes with names would be nice. Great. Thank you. So this morning, we'd like to speak with you about peace. I think the subject of peace is very relevant to all of us in today's world with so much conflict, so much violence going on around the world. But I would like to explore peace from the perspective of the diamond approach. So, the diamond approach is a spiritual path that emphasizes living in the world, participating in the world in an ordinary way, and at the same time engaging in a dynamic and deep spiritual practice. So the diamond approach integrates participation in the world with the inner dimensions of reality. The diamond approach doesn't propose an ascetic approach to spirituality. We don't withdraw from the world into a monastery or an ashram or a cave, but rather we participate fully in the world in our particular chosen way. We have jobs, we have relationships, we have families. We engage in the normal, ordinary activities that people usually engage in, but at the same time, we engage in an inner practice that takes us deeper and deeper into the inner dimensions, the spiritual dimensions of existence. And as we dive deeper, as we discover this deeper spiritual reality of our soul and the world, we bring our discoveries into the world in a way that the inner and the outer begin to integrate into a more complete, into a more harmonious totality. And you know what we achieve internally? I would like to show you this. There is this beautiful picture of this Greek philosopher. Let's see if I can, here it is. You see what he says there? What we achieve inwardly will change outer reality. I think that's true. This was Plutarch, an ancient Greek philosopher and historian, I think, actually. So anyway, here I'm back from Epictetus back to modern times. So when we speak of peace, our mind can go into different directions. One is the external world, so peace in the external world. The other is our internal world and experience. Peace, internal peace, inner peace. In the external world, peace is usually considered to be the absence of conflict, the absence of war. Whether that conflict is a low-grade experience of disagreement between people or nations, border disputes, or all-out violent expression of war. So we consider peace the absence of that in the external world mostly. We can also look at peace in two different ways, this external peace. Static absence of conflict, or as a dynamic and alive presence of peace. So let me explain what I mean. By static peace, I mean a peace that is imposed and achieved by coercion or by violence. For example, two nations engage in war. One of them wins the war, defeats the other, and forces them to surrender. We can say that the result is peace. They're not killing each other anymore. There is no more fighting. The war has ended. No hostilities. There is peace. But would you really call that real peace? It is a kind of peace, but it's not the kind of peace where everyone feels in harmony with everybody else. So it is a peace where justice has not been served, and people are not living in harmony. That's what I mean by a static kind of peace. I think most of us would agree that the static kind of peace is not permanent, is not deep, is not all encompassing, and it will not last for long. And you can see that in many parts of the world where peace can exist for a while, but justice has not been served, and it breaks out into violence again from time to time. Because the person that feels defeated, feels controlled, feels manipulated, forced into submission, will continue to feel the conflict within themselves and be looking for the opportunity to overthrow the oppression, the injustice, the imbalance. It's natural because we want to be free, all of us. And we long for peace, a real kind of peace. So the other kind of peace that we all want, that we all crave, we all long for, is a dynamic and alive peace. When the conflicts have been resolved in a satisfactory way for all the people involved, justice has been served and harmony and balance has been restored. This kind of peace will involve many dimensions of life, such as our thoughts, our feelings, our relationships, the structures of society, the economic sphere, so many things, the political sphere, so many things. Many people have explored all these kinds of dimensions of peace. Many people wrote books about this. And yet, peace as a permanent feature of our world seems to elude us. So, for me, the question comes up, what's the reason that we, as human beings, as a humanity, have failed to bring peace to our world after so many thousands of years of civilization? It's a good question. I think there are many reasons why we have failed up to this point. But I believe there is a deeper and more fundamental reason that we can see when we explore peace from the perspective of this path, of the diamond approach. So let's turn our attention to that now. Explore a little bit the worldview that begins to form, begins to appear as we discover the deeper and more fundamental spiritual dimensions, spiritual truths that the diamond approach can help us discover. But before I dive into that, I want to say this. The diamond approach is not a religion, is not a belief system, is not an ideology, is not a philosophy. Okay? So the diamond approach is a practical teaching that presents us, offers us tools and methodology to explore and discover deeper truths that lie at the depth of each one of us and at the depth of reality in general. So we say that diamond approach is a spiritual path because we can use the tools, the methodology that this path presents us to walk a personal path of exploration and discovery in our own experience, find our own truth that lies within each one of us. So it's a very personal path. And by within us, I don't mean inside our bodies, but rather the inner dimensions of what we really are, the inner dimensions of reality itself. And we call these inner dimensions the spiritual realm. So, as I usually say, I'm not asking you to believe anything I tell you today. In fact, don't believe anything I tell you. Because if you believe me, that will be the precursor of starting some kind of a belief system. And you know what belief system, for short BS. Beliefs. And the reason why belief systems are not really very useful is because if I believe something, I stop investigating. I stop looking for the truth. So I don't discover the truth for myself. That's why I think it's preferable that you don't believe what I tell you, but rather explore, find out for yourselves. What's the truth? What's really the truth for you? Not according to Andreas or according to the diamond approach or anything like that. So that's what true spirituality is. It's really engaging, not just the diamond approach methodology, but any methodology that can help us discover the truth of what we are. That's what true spirituality is, in my view. Selling you a belief system is not spirituality in my book. So having said that, I will tell you a little bit about the experiential discoveries that are possible through the application of the methodology of the diamond approach. What do these discoveries show us in terms of peace? So you see, when we engage this particular spiritual path and methodology, we discover that our inner world is multidimensional. There is, of course, we are familiar with our mental world or dimension, our emotional world or dimension, our psychological world or dimension, the physical reality, of course. You know, so as we go to the deeper dimensions of this inner realm, we find our spiritual essence, yeah, which can be experienced in many different qualities. There are many dimensions, but this spiritual dimension can manifest in many different qualities, such as love, joy, peace, so many different qualities. So you see, this morning, I want to focus on this one particular essential quality of our inner spiritual dimension, yeah? Peace. So you see, we are talking about peace as a spiritual presence, not as the absence of conflict. We are not speaking about it as in negative terms, the absence of something, but in positive terms as the presence of something. And we find that each one of these qualities, like love, joy, pleasure, peace, intelligence, compassion, each one of them has its particular texture, particular color, a particular density, particular substantiality, and a particular affect. It's like when we experience that substance, that essence, that presence, it makes us feel a particular way. For example, if we take the quality of love, personal love, because there are many different kinds of love, different kinds of expressions of love. Yeah. But if we take this personal love, when we dive into the experience of it in a deeper way, uh, it's more than just the feeling or the emotion of love. Yeah. This love feels like a substantial presence in your heart, in your chest. And tell me if I'm wrong. It's like when you feel love, don't you feel a certain kind of warmth in your heart? I mean, it's not cold. When you feel love, it's not cold. It's warm and it's soft, isn't it? It's not hard. It's not jagged. It's smooth, soft. There is a gentleness to it. It's a loving, sweet. It's fluffy like a cloud, right? I mean, think about it for a minute. Love. This is fluffy like a cloud, soft, warm. Hmm? And if it expands beyond your chest to your heart and begins to fill your whole body, when it comes to your mouth, you can taste it, it's sweet. And when it comes to your eyes, you can see it not with your physical eyes, but the inner eye. You can see its color. It's like pink cotton candy, but without the stickiness and without the calories. It's this fluffy sweetness that we call love. And it fills our heart, it fills the chest cavity, even our whole body with this substantiality, this fullness, this warmth, this sweetness that we call love. And I think we all know this. You all know this, what I'm talking about. And I'm using that example because it's so much easier, because we all are very familiar with love. And when actually I mention these characteristics of the quality of love, everybody relates to it, or at least most people. And you can see, as I'm talking about it, a lot of you are smiling. You recognize what I'm talking about. In the same way, when we experience the essential aspect of peace, we find that it is actually a presence, a substantiality. It's different from love. This presence is more dense. It's not fluffy. It's more dense. It's vast. It has a quietness, a stillness, a settledness to it. It's like a field of quietness and stillness. And we can experience it within our body or extending beyond our body in all directions. And it can go infinitely. But it is a field of presence that has a density, that has a particular characteristic. It's like a field that has particular qualities, like the field of love has particular qualities. This field of of peace has a particular color and flavor and density, and it is a smooth, velvety field of blackness that has the capacity to quiet the mind, to quiet the emotions, to still everything, brings in a stillness, a silence, a quietness. It's like the mind settles, the heart settles, the body settles. There is quietude and stillness and silence. And if you taste this black presence, it tastes like black licorice. And sometimes people ask me, but why? Why is peace black? I don't know. I don't know. Why is water transparent? Because it is. Why is milk white? Because it is. So peace happens to be a black presence, and it happens to taste like licorice. And it happens to have this smoothness and this density. It's a very powerful kind of alive peace. It's not a static peace. It's not just the absence of conflict. In fact, conflict, when this peace is present, conflict will dissolve. Now, some of us, when we first encounter this kind of deep, settled kind of peace, this deep stillness, this deep quietness, has a vastness to it. And for some people, it's scary, you know, because we are so used to the continual inner activity. You know what I'm talking about, those inner conversations that you're having all the time with yourself or other people in your own mind. You know what I'm talking about, right? We all have those inner conversations. What happens when we have those conversations? They keep us company. It's like we are never alone. We're always talking to somebody. So when this black essence descends into the mind, it quiets the mind. And the inner mental activity gets stilled. And some of us get startled. It's like the quietness can be startling. For some people, it may feel like a kind of loneliness because suddenly you don't have all the familiar characters inside talking to you and talking back, and you talk back to them and having all these conversations. So for some people, it can feel like loneliness. So we need to work through all those different reactions. As we work through these reactions, you know, if we have any of them, of course, any fears that may arise about this stillness, this inner peace, then eventually we find that we like this inner quietness. We like this inner stillness, this inner peace. In fact, to a lot of us, to many of us, it may feel like we have just returned home. It's like this inner quietness, this inner stillness can feel like home. A home that is much, much deeper than our home in the external world. It is home to our hearts. It is home to our souls. It is home to what we really are. It's like your mind feels settled, quiet, silent. Your heart feels settled, still. Your body feels relaxed, settled, quiet. And you feel at home. That's what I mean with the title of this webinar, Peace Begins at Home. That's the source of peace. So that inner home that lies at the depth of our spiritual nature, that's our true home. And when you find that home, you can be at home anywhere you go. So as we discover this inner peace, this inner essence of peace, presence of peace, and we work through the different obstacles that may arise in the way, like fear of loneliness or things like that, that get in the way, we become more and more established in this condition of peace. And what happens then? Then we become a center of peace. We become a center that radiates peace all around us. Not that we are trying to do anything to do that, it just naturally happens. It's just like a magnet naturally creates a magnetic field around it. It's like the magnet cannot help it. Magnet comes with its magnetic field. If you're established in peace, you become a magnet of peace, a center radiating peace and stillness in the world. So the more we are not at peace, the more we experience inner conflict and agitation, the more we contribute to the absence of peace in the world. Not because we are trying to do that, you know, and not to give ammunition to our inner critic, to attack us about it. You're contributing to war. Tell your superego to quiet, to, to quiet down, your inner critic to quiet down, take a break. No, it's just that if we are not contributing to peace, then, we are contributing what we are. Each one of us brings to the world our little contribution of peace or discord. You know, that's what that quote from Plutarch says. What we achieve inwardly becomes outer reality. Yeah, so you can imagine a world where most people are settled, are established in this inner peace. It would be a different kind of world. Huh? Remember a long time ago, it was back in 1970, early 70s. I think it was 73 or something. And I was in Florence, Italy. I was studying there. I was studying architecture. And one day, we had a bunch of friends. We got together in my apartment and we were having dinner together. And suddenly we realized, of course, we are in Italy, we always have pasta, you know. And suddenly we realized we don't have Parmesan cheese, you know. And how can you have pasta without Parmesan cheese? So they said, somebody go get some Parmesan cheese. I said, I'll go. So I went out. I was walking towards the shop where I usually got the Parmesan cheese. And suddenly there is this couple in front of me. There is this man with this white cape on and this woman, and they are both dressed very beautifully. But they caught my attention because there was this amazing quietness around them. As I got closer to them, I could feel this immense quietness, stillness, peace. And I just kept going behind them, feeling this, following them, feeling this peace, this quietness, and getting more and more quiet within myself. And then they opened the door and they went in an apartment building there. And then I realized, I looked up and I looked at oh my God, I've been walking around for 20 minutes away from my destination, from the Parmesan cheese shop. So I walked back, I got the cheese, went back. What happened to you? Everybody was, I told them the story. Some of them just were shaking their head. And some of them were very interested. We were asking questions and discussing, who were these people? We never found out. Probably there were some spiritual people, who knows? But they were emanating, radiating peace. It was just amazing. So the subject of peace, this black essence, it's a huge topic. There is no way we can cover all of it in detail in this talk. In fact, next week on Wednesday, we will be teaching a 5-day retreat on this very subject. Yeah. And I would like to invite all of you to join us if you feel so inclined. Yeah. So if you really are interested in joining us for that retreat, you can you can send me an email. If you go back on the website where you registered for this webinar, there you can just send an email, a message, and then I'll get it and I'll help you how to register for the retreat. Or, afterwards I can give you more details after the exercise at the end of the Q&C if you want, if you have questions. Now, as I said earlier, in the Diamond approach, we like to apply the teaching in our personal experience. Yeah. So I'd like to invite you now to engage in an exercise. So we'll call this exercise a monologue. Some of you may be familiar with it, have done it before. A monologue, we get into groups of threes. So anyway, we'll break out into rooms And you will have a monologue. Basically, what that means is that you will just explore out loud the subject of peace, you know, just talking about the subject of peace. How do you feel about this inner peace that I have described? Have you experienced it in the past or today? How is it for you? Does it sound like a possibility, but you haven't experienced it at all within yourself? Or is it something that you experience often? Or is it something you experience under certain conditions? You know, what's your relationship to this inner peace, your personal relationship? So while you're talking, you're exploring, you are not just reporting what you already know, but you're actually, you know, going inside yourself and really exploring and talking about your exploring. Yeah, yeah, I have experienced this sometimes. Yeah, yeah, I remember. Yeah, but I didn't feel this presence that Andreas is talking, this blackness, or I did, or I felt it something in a different way, whatever way you experienced it. So you just talk about it. While you're talking, the other two people are just quietly listening. They're not giving feedback verbally or non-verbally. They are not approving, they are not disapproving. You just want to allow the other person to explore freely, find out for themselves what's the truth for them. Okay, no interference. And you can time it. So do the exercise for 15 minutes each person. So you'll talk for 15 minutes. You'll be amazed how much you can talk if you think that's a long, thing. Long time. 15 minutes probably will go very fast talking about this. So each one of you will do 15-minute monologue. So that will be 45 minutes. And then we'll take a 10-minute break. And so we'll come back at 5 minutes to 12. Okay. Okay. So let's go in a breakout rooms and then I'll see you in about 55 minutes.